Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Monday Night National LifeVantage webinar. My name is Gabe Pearson, and I just want to welcome each and every one of you. Congratulations on some of you that are new business owners with LifeVantage, and I want to welcome all the guests that are on tonight. Just a couple of minutes to give you a background on myself. On the 30th of this month, I'll be celebrating our 9th year with this company. And I'm telling you, it's been one heck of a journey. I spent over 30 years in the fitness industry. I have a strong background in nutrition, never endorsed a product until now. Spent the first 20 years in the health club industry. Starting at the bottom as a health club instructor and working my way up and owning 3 clubs. Took me 20 years to figure out that even though I owned those gyms, I was still building somebody else's dream. I finally realized that I was tired of creating millionaires, and I realized that even though I owned those 3 gyms, I didn't own the property that those gyms were on. Those guys became the millionaires. I didn't own the finance company. I didn't own the leasing company. So I finally wised up, got out of the health club industry, started my own personal training company, quickly morphed into a wellness company. Living the American dream until 2009, when economically in this country, everything went south and all our eggs were in one basket. We were in the corporate world and we lost 3 6-figure contracts in 30 days. One door closed, another one opens, right? So I got invited to be a keynote speaker in Atlanta. I went up there to drum up new business, and a complete stranger walks up to me after my keynote and asks me if I've ever heard of a product called Protandem. And I'm telling you, God's my witness. If there wasn't 8 to 10 people waiting in line to speak to me behind her, I most likely would have turned around and walked away from her. Thank goodness I didn't. Next thing come out of that woman's mouth, retired me from the fitness business 22 months later. And that was 7 years ago. So that's my story, but I'm not here tonight to talk about myself. I have an incredible guest with us tonight. And I've got his bio right here. He is on the medical advisory board with this company. And the minute this person joined this company, created instant value to LifeVantage. I mean, a lot of heads turned. He was a chiropractor for 18 years. He still is. But basically what he did is he was a trainer of healthcare providers on practice techniques and nutrition supplements and formulas that were created, check this out, by his father with 3 different companies over the last 23 years. This guy is a supplement guru. He have people fly all over the world to come see him for his care. Most importantly, he is a husband and he's a father, been married to Holly since 1996, and they have 4 awesome children. I want to welcome Dr. Brett Brimhall to our webinar tonight.
Hey, thanks, Gabe.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm awesome. I'm awesome. It's fun to listen to your story and to hear like just how things come into our lives that I wasn't expecting, and it's like you weren't expecting. So it's just, you never know what God has in store for you. So
you're absolutely right. That, I mean, and when I started with this, Dr. Brimhall, I'm telling you, it was a side hustle. We didn't have that term 9 years ago as we do today, but it was just a temporary thing to make $2,200 a month to keep my 2 kids in private school. Never in a million years I would have ever thought, you know, I would walk away from, you know, the passion that I have, which is fitness, like your passion, you know, for chiropractic healthcare, right? It's crazy how things work out. So I know we have a big audience tonight and everyone's wanting to hear your story. So just kind of elaborate a little bit more on the short bio that I just said of you, kind of help everyone understand who is Dr. Brett Brimhall.
Oh, fantastic. Well, thanks, Gabe. I do appreciate you, asking. We talked about doing this for a while and it just kind of came together. I really never expected to be doing, conversations about products that I wasn't a part of creating or teaching on. It was a very different thing that happened to me. So, and I've gotten used to things happening that kind of take you different directions. my dad was going to be a dentist. He got injured, got carried in, took by his cousin to a chiropractor's office. That took him to chiropractic school.
Wow.
Right? Because of the life-changing experience he had. Well, for me, the same thing. I just grew up thinking, hey, I'm just going to do chiropractic. I thought everybody did that. And really, we found what's called the 6 steps to wellness, which is looking at total body wellness, chiropractic, nutrition, emotional work, freeing up toxicities, a lot of different things. And I didn't really expect to be ever promoting a network marketing company. That just wasn't on the docket. Well, so for the past 20 plus years, when I came home from a church mission, I jumped right into my pre-medical requirements, started working with my dad again, knowing that's what I was going to do the rest of my life for 30 years or as long as I needed to, because I just had that passion. Well, 2009, right? Some things happened. So in 2008, my mom passed away. I've been teaching with my dad, chiropractic and nutritional techniques and supplements that he's helped create for 3 different companies since 1995. And so 2008, my mom passes away. That changed the whole dynamics of our family. The company we had taught for at that time, there were some changes that happened. We might end up going with another company that actually made a product called Nerve 2 Activation, Nerve 2 Activator. So I became familiar with this, process that we're going to kind of talk about tonight. But all this didn't really come to fruition so all that's going in the background of my family. The company my dad was with for 17 years that we built up, where he's making over $40,000 a month residually. That changes over. We worked for another company for 3. They let him go without notice. So all this is going on in the background as I'm taking care of a little boy with autism. Some of you guys know Carrie Williams and her son and his story. Well, I've been working with him every week for a year, right? Just doing everything that I possibly knew. And she would refer to me from a doctor that I'd helped train back in Iowa. And she was out here, and she traveled an hour each way to come see us. Well, as I worked with him every week for a year, and on top of that, he's doing 35-hour therapy a week, this product Axio came out, right?
Can I interrupt you for 1 second?
Yeah.
Can you let the viewing audience know how old Carrie's son was at the time?
Yeah, so Carrie came to me when he was 3, so about 4.
Okay.
That's when the Axio came out, and still at this time, pretty much very little verbal behavior, learning, very young. But I mean, they were doing everything they possibly could to help their son. He was diagnosed at 2 with autism, and then I'd worked with him for a year doing everything that we know how to do, and she was traveling an hour each way to come over and see us, and we were doing everything we possibly knew. And so this Axio came out, and literally in 11 days of him starting Axio, which is really truly liquid brain food, it's like the door unlocked in him. Literally, like this liquid brain food got him. All of a sudden, he just unlocked. Like he had literally a 50% improvement in this short period of time, and I've never seen that happen before. So that was the beginning of an opening to me, is like there's something very different about these products, because all of a sudden this little boy started doing things, remembering things that we had kind of done with him and done, that whole year. Like I remember how hard it was for him to struggle just to remember letters and numbers, or ask him a question and get a normal answer. Like you ask him what color something was and he'd say dinosaur. You just didn't know what you were going to get. And then watching him unlock, that was the beginning for me of seeing, hey, you know what, this product's different. I need to actually look at what it is. I remember calling her up and say, look, he had a phenomenal day. I need to know more about what LifeVantage is. I need to know more what this product is. And shortly thereafter, I found myself actually flying to South Dakota to meet the scientists that developed the drink. Also seeing this team that Carrie had built and what network marketing could be, because it wasn't something I thought about doing, but I was open, because while that was all going on, seeing this massive change in his life, when the company my dad taught for let him go without notice. And then shortly thereafter, I ended up breaking my knee playing basketball. And so for the first time in my life, I needed a plan B. My plan B, which I thought I would do, which would teach physicians for years, was no longer on the table. Like I'm not going to spend another 17 years with a 3 with another and have it just ripped away from me. Like I just wasn't going to do that. And so it was humbled me enough to look at network marketing and seeing how does this work, because obviously people are making money with it and you're impacting lives in a giant way. I just didn't know how to do it.
Well, it's amazing because your story parallels mine. I had the Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville validate our Nerve 2 activator Pro Tandem, because I saw the ABC primetime news piece. And when they validated this, Dr. Brimhall, I mean, network marketing was the furthest thing from my mind. But I understood the enormity of having peer-reviewed studies on a dietary supplement So I checked the validity box, and I became a professional in this business. And I mean, it retired me in 22 months. So it's great.
It's interesting. I just had a question. I actually, 3 people I talked to last week. One just graduated naturopathic school, and I asked her, if you're going to verify a product, where would you go? And she said PubMed.gov. And she said, yeah. And guess what? I said, yeah, there's over 23 published studies on Protandim. And she's like, really? Right? That was kind of cool. And I talked to 2 of my instructors this week from chiropractic school. Now, these are people that have taught one for 28 years, one for 35. And both of them had heard of nurture activation a little bit. They didn't know much about it. Right? And I started thinking, well, here are the people that are teaching for the current physician going into practice, and they don't know what this is. On top of that, they don't, and it's verified on, the National Institutes of Health website. Like, that's how big a deal this is and how big a response we need. Because one of these individuals that were my trainers, like, they need this product in their own life. And I felt super bad that I hadn't contacted them till now, when they could have been using it for the last 4 years since I've been involved.
Yeah. Well, you hear the word nootropic with Axio, brain food, right? And before we move on, because I know you've sparked a lot of interest in a lot of mothers and fathers, and we've got over a couple hundred people on this webinar tonight. Can you just kind of maybe walk them through and help them to understand, what is Axio?
Yeah, it's as I think about this last 4 years, I've had a lot of people come up to me and say, hey, thanks for sharing your story about autism or kids and Axio. And I realized is that it really had nothing to do with me. It's just that I'd been prepared to just share this story. And it was really a little boy that had major struggle that I got to participate in watching him become a better version of himself because of a product that was made with the idea of how do we address brain fatigue. So when you look at Axio, it literally is designed to address brain fatigue. It's the combination of things in that. I remember reading about it, and the combination of things that helps the brain stay focused and in the zone. So who could benefit from that? Like, who could benefit from not having a tired brain? For some people, it may give them drastic symptoms, right? It may be somebody had a diagnosis of whatever it might be. They might come up with that. We don't treat, cure, but anybody that has a tired brain, some people feel anxious when they're tired. Some people feel low or depressed or overwhelmed. Other people feel just exhausted. Other people literally, just can't get up in the morning. Others, like, they just can't get things done at work, right? So imagine if your brain wasn't fatigued. So, and what I love, you look at what choices we have for kids, right? Or any of us that are looking for a better way to have brain energy. What are our choices? We literally have Monsters and Red Bull, right? And that's what you'll see happen. It's a giant industry because people want energy. And I've yet to find somebody that say, hey, it's good for me. All right, so we're talking about something that was designed with a different question in mind, which is how do we activate the brain so that it doesn't fatigue and do it in a way that it's a nice increase, a sustain without a crash. So Axio is truly liquid brain food designed to help the brain be alert, focused, in the zone, and the longer that occurs, the more permanent that is, and the better results we get. So when I look at that, this allows us to be a better version of ourselves. And if you look at a child or any one of us, how we view ourselves and what we're capable of, this changes the game, because now our brains are working in a way where we can feel like we're more productive, we do a better job at work or at school. Well, there's your self-esteem. So to me, you look at our choices, what we have a Ritalin, right? Or a Vyvanse as a drug. We have a Red Bull or a Monster or a Diet Coke or a Coke, what they used to call the Mountain Dew and a Snickers to treat it. Or we now have something that's got phenomenal science, phenomenal results to address brain fatigue. It's called Axio. Like, I love that.
Now, because of this product, that sparked your interest in this company. Am I correct?
Yeah, very much so. Because I'd never seen that happen. That quick of a response with somebody I worked so hard with. So I knew that what this company was doing was different than what I had been doing for 20 plus years, even though we had always looked at synergy of nutrients and how to combine them, but we couldn't test it. Like, we couldn't say, hey, you know what? We know we're activating this particular thing in the body. We just knew when we combine certain things that help the body regulate. This is different. Like, we're not guessing if it works. Right. We know it works based upon this science that it's founded on.
Now, when you start looking into this company, I'm really curious to hear your opinion on what you read and what your reaction was to our flagship product, Protandim NRF2.
Well, what really kind of blew my mind is it still does a little bit. As I look at Protandim, the NRF2 activator, I taught for a company that actually made a product called NRF2 activator. So I was familiar with the science, and I taught with this company for 3 years. And I remember reading about NRF2 activator. I'd had patients take it, but I just didn't see consistent results, and I didn't know why. The science was really cool. Well, as I ended up reading this book developed by Dr. Perlmutter called The Grain Brain, in his book, he talks about NRF2 activation, how big a deal it is, because it actually turned on the switches where the body then can make its own enzymes inside the cell, which is where it has to be made to make changes. And I remember reading the 7 things. 5 of those 7s are the exact same things that are in Protandim. A light bulb went off my head because he served on the board of Zymogen at the same time my dad did.
Yeah.
And it clicked in my head, like, okay, all right, so he knew NRF2 activation was huge, but we also knew that there are 11 patents. So one of the things I looked at the company standpoint, when I looked at the product, several things. Number one, I wasn't gonna teach for another company that could just be taken out from underneath me again. I was just done with that. Like, I just want to spend 17 years to 3 years and then just have somebody rip that away. I didn't want that. But I also love the fact that this company was coming up with new science and using new terminology, nutrigenomics and biohacking, the idea the body can be better than it currently is if we learn how to activate it. And I love that it was publicly traded because I wanted to know, like, there was some transparency. I remember when I first looked at this, I actually read like what the CEO was making, because you can see that. And I love the fact that it is so transparent and that we get to see that, and we can kind of, watch the stock, we can read what's going on, we listen to calls. That was important to me because I didn't want to put time and energy into something again and just have it pulled away. And also to feel like I had control a little bit on the success of not only my business, but the company by how much work I put into it. And I've had investments, right? But I don't have control over where I put that money, what happens, but I do have a control over what happens with this company, not only because of how hard I choose to work, but because I know the results there and what timing we have and how unique this is. Because when I'm calling people that are teaching the teachers and they don't know what this is, and I'm seeing the results, and that was part of it. I started putting this in people's lives that I've been working with for 15 plus years and watching results with them that I hadn't gotten in 15 plus. Then yes, the science was cool on PubMed, but watching somebody's life change in front of your eyes where they're now doing things that they couldn't do with all the knowledge that I had had before, to me was life changing. It came, instead of being a brain thing, it became a heart thing for me, realizing like this is going to change people's lives in a bigger way than I currently could. And if I can share it with more people, then I can help impact more lives faster. And we have hope in ways that people don't. I had literally just sat in here in a conference room earlier today with the individual was told he had the condition that will never get better. And in my head, I'm like, are you kidding me? I said, based upon the current knowledge, yes, but not based on the new knowledge. And that's what we have our hand on. So when looking at the company and the timing, all that was important to me because it really became because I had a broken knee and I thought, I don't have a plan B. And then I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna put time and effort, energy, or money into something, where can I do that and be able to be prepared for the next time something happens when I need a plan B or whatever that may be. And that was LifeVantage.
Before we get into the timing in the company, we have a lot of brand new guests that are on tonight, and they're hearing the activation of pathways. They're hearing NRF2 for the very first time. Can you just specifically talk to those people right now and help them to understand what is Protandim NRF2? Help them to understand the significance of what you and I already know, but try to keep it in a nice, simple way that the layperson can understand what this product does. Perfect.
Great question. So I have people come in all the time and they're like, I think I need supplements, but which ones? And their doctors say, go to Sprouts or wherever and get a multi. You guys have all been in there and there's hundreds of bottles and they're all different prices, right? And they all look similar or whatever. So and supplementation has been around forever. In the vet science and in human science, a supplementation is that we're gonna try to find a deficiency, supplement it or support it because our diet doesn't have enough, right? So the difference between supplementation and activation is just this. We're supplementing, we're basically taking something the body doesn't have and giving it to them. For instance, vitamin D is a very common nutrient we're deficient in dietarily wise, and so are essential fatty acids. So you want to have those right things for the body to have the supplements, but there's a difference in activation. And so I think of activation a lot like this. You can have all the right ingredients there, but if you don't put them in the right ratios, if you don't put them in at the right time, and you don't mix them together in the right way, it doesn't taste the same. Whether you're talking about bread or whether you're talking about a real complex recipe, right? So the amounts, the quantities, how you put it together absolutely matter. So what we're talking about is the idea of like a key, right? So Nerve 2 is literally the switch that when it turns on, your body repairs faster, right? So imagine your kids waking up and cleaning the house on their own, right? Literally that's what this does. When this switch turned on, the cell cleans up itself on its own. And so that combination, there are 5 natural ingredients, which you can see on the screen here. They're all natural sources combined in very specific ratios where it turned on the sanitation department. And imagine what life would feel like or look like if the garbage never got dumped inside your house. And then obviously not from the outside the street or into the landfills. So if your cells cannot get rid of the trash, it builds up, and then the cell dies, right? And it gets super tired. And so
great analogy.
And so that's what we're doing is that the garbage guy only works if he gets paid, right? So you got to turn that switch on. So we're not supporting the garbage guy. We're literally giving the garbage guy the key to get in, to turn the switch on, and to haul the trash out. Now, if you guys everybody's had a dirty house before, when your house isn't dirty, it just feels better. And that's what happens inside our cells. So that's the NRF2 switch. And it controls what they call antioxidants production. So the bad guys are free radicals, good guys are antioxidants. And you can either fight them one at a time, like putting literally one at a time, like have a house fire and put a Dixie cup of water on it, or you can turn on the sprinkler system inside your house, which is by turning the NRF2 switch on. And what's more effective?
Yeah, that's perfect analogy. So folks, what team do you want to be on? You want to be on the one and done team, as Dr. Brimhall said, or do you want to be on the 1 in 1 million team? That's the difference. So pathway, this Nerve 2 pathway gets your own body to do its own work, what your body was meant to do for the first 20 years of life, and that's make more good guys. All right, so there's some people right now wanting to know, if my grandmother's taking 5 different medications, can she have this?
I know, right? That's happened all the time. And I always say, well, when somebody's on medication, I mean, they're the system not working.
Right.
All right, so if they're the system not working, then in my mind, automatically is, should they be on it? Absolutely. All right. So when somebody's on medication, they know that they're already, that system that's supposed to be working is not. So you're having to basically do the job for the system. That means the cell's not repairing fast enough. So if we can get the cell to repair fast enough, their odds are they may not need medication. Now you need to work with your physician on that, right? But if you ask a physician if you should lower oxidative stress, they're all going to say yes. But you want to make sure that you understand that they know what you're doing. So as the body gets healthier, they may not need the medication. That happens all the time, right? You'll see people come off medication because they get healthier, and that's what you want. So is it safe to take? Absolutely. But always work with your physician on that and just let them know what you're doing.
Now, you had mentioned peer-reviewed studies. Is it uncommon to have a dietary supplement have peer-reviewed studies? And for the people that are hearing this for the first time, can you help them understand what is a peer-reviewed study?
So yeah, it's actually, this hits home a lot because of all the 200 different products my dad had created and I've been part of, like 0 have peer-reviewed published studies. 0. So how unique is it? Phenomenally unique. So literally this is like the worst paper. You imagine writing a paper and everybody gets to edit it. Everybody. So if it's peer-reviewed means your peers, those people that you work around, right? You're going to write a paper and they all get to edit it and pick it apart. So to have a nutritional natural supplement and have one peer-reviewed study, much less more than 20, right? It never happens. Never happened. Like I don't know any product, natural product is that way. It's always drug-based, right? So to have over 23 published studies on PubMed, on Protandim, one of them saying that it extends life by 7%. That just doesn't happen. Like for us to say we have a natural supplement, the only natural supplement proven to extend life, the only natural supplement proven to reduce oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days, like that doesn't happen. Like, and that's, so that thinking about all those products we've created, none of them have studies because it's so expensive. This does because of how it came about, right? It was ABC primetime, aired on ABC primetime. People caught wind of it. Universities, hey, you know what? Oxidative stress we think is linked to hundreds of diseases. If we can, and this actually lowers it, we're going to figure it out. That's what happened, and that you just don't see published studies. And so again, that was from my standpoint when I finally opened my eyes to see it, or had somebody open my eyes. It's crazy unique, and you can look up, take any supplement you find on GNC guys or Sprouts, go look at PubMed.gov. Guess what? None of them going to be there because it just doesn't happen. And
okay, so I'm trying to figure out this timeline. So your first, introduction to our products and LifeVantage was incredible testimony. Then you researched the products and you found they were peer reviewed, right? And then I think the next step, and I'm assuming before you got started, was you probably did some research on the company, right? Just kind of give me 3 facts about LifeVantage that stood out to you, that kind of checked the validity box for you to go to the next step.
Yeah. So validity box for me was several things. One, the results I saw. Like I've been working with some patients for like 15 years and now seeing them do things I never thought possible. That was a huge validation for me, knowing that I took somebody that's had around 15 to 20 supplements down to 5 or 6. From a validation standpoint, these products work. I can check that box. They work, and the science they keep coming out with all the other products are huge. Publicly traded was big for me. Having published studies on PubMed was giant for me. The other thing that was giant for me too was how inexpensive it was to be involved. Like I paid over $500,000 when I bought my practice for my dad. Like, so to be involved in a company was so little skin in the game. Like that was just giant for me, something I could do and I could do it part-time. I could do it part-time while I'm still practicing full-time, to where then now it turned into my plan A, right? And that never would have happened had I not had the coaching and training from Kerry Williams and going to events and learning these things. We're like, hey, you know what? This is a valid business opportunity that I can do part-time. I didn't know it would turn into my plan A. I wanted it as a plan B, but it quickly turned into plan A because one of my biggest passion, I was thinking about this last night, was like, I want to impact a lot of lives. Like that's my passion. When I get somebody that like just gets, they have more of life, you just can't replace that feeling. And so those are some of the check boxes from a standpoint on business, what I was looking for. I didn't want to put a ton of money into it. I wanted to put time. I wanted validation. I wanted something that couldn't be taken away from me. And I wanted something I could get behind. I want to put my name behind it. And that was critical, that the products actually worked. And so because they did, and because the science was so good, I could get behind it, and it made it simple. So simple. Because people need good products, but there's so many out there. This makes it super simple. When you talk about that vitality stack, which is a combination of, we'll kind of go through that, those 4 products, you're able to address 95% of the reason why people don't get well.
Yeah. Well, let's keep moving. Time is going by so quickly. I could listen to you all night long. In addition to being publicly traded and the facts that Dr. Brimhall just shared with all of you, I like the fact that if you go to Yahoo Finance and type in our stock symbol and read the pro forma, we're projected to be in over 100 markets. Wow. And right now, folks, we're only in 17. So for the entrepreneur brain that's thinking right now and listening how incredible this opportunity could be for you and your family based on what Dr. Brimhall have said, imagine getting started with a company at the very beginning. I mean, there's the countries right there in the bottom 7, folks. We're not fully vested in those countries yet. We can get customers, but we can't get business partners. So I want all of you to be thinking about this as Dr. Brimhall talks about the ways of getting started. Think about this. Our largest income earners are not even enrolled yet, all right? Because we're like a little speck on a radar screen. We're a baby $200 million company that's about ready to explode. And those of you can go read our fiscal earnings, what we just released last week, and see the direction that this company's moving in. And lastly, before we move into, you know, what's in it for you, I love who is running the company, the man behind the helm, and what he's been able to do. Not only does he have 26 years of experience in this industry, he has picked the best of the best for his executive team that has an average of over 20 years of experience running this ship. And they just completed the Southeast Asian team right now. So the company is getting ready to explode. So be thinking about that. There's just a lot of upside when you are at the beginning, the forefront of something. We haven't been branded yet. We haven't gone into momentum yet. And that's very, very big. Now, you had said something to me. I said something that really hit me hard, because my first gym that I opened up in 1987 cost me $500,000. And I'm still waiting to get that money back. But also what really attracted me was this low barrier entry that you just talked about. Can you help everybody help them understand the cost of doing business? I could imagine how much it costs you to operate your practice, but help everybody understand the cost of what it takes to operate this business.
You know, because I'm a lot more aware of that than ever before. So literally, when I began practice, back in 2001, and I bought my practice from my dad, $500,000 is what I paid, and that's not even including my students, what I paid for my education.
Right.
And I ran into a UPS store the other day, and I'm kind of thinking of this, and I talked to this guy behind the desk. He says, just curiosity, how much did it cost you to open this franchise? He said $250,000, and he's been at it 17 years. He's hoping another 10, he'll be able to travel more. And I'm thinking in my head, like, how inexpensive it is to run this. So my overhead was over $40,000, $50,000 a month on average, just before we actually broke even to be able to pay ourselves. Yeah. And there have been days, right, where you're going 2008, 2009, 2010, going through all that process where my mom passed away, and like business and all, downturn in the economy, where it was a little rough that time. We always made payroll, but there were times, right, that you got definitely kind of not some sleepless night thinking about it. This business, I love how inexpensive it is. There's 3 packs to get involved, but literally, like, for $1,250, you can have a worldwide business. Mm-hmm. And the cost of me doing business is like $200 a month if I want to be fully vested. Like, and I think about that, I mean, oh my gosh, like, how inexpensive is that to have a worldwide business that now, after 4 years of being involved, like, I'm in a place now I can just do this and not practice, right?
Yeah, and folks, what I want you to understand too is you can actually mitigate or reduce that 200 all the way down to 40 with just a couple of customers. So really put that in perspective. I tell you what, when I heard that for the first time, Dr. Brimhall, I said, give me 5, because I didn't believe it,
I'm like, heck, that'd be awesome. Like, if I could have, you think how much overhead you had and I had. It's like, oh, are you kidding me? Can I have 5 spots?
Right, exactly. So is there any risk involved? Like, let's say, for example, I came in the same way that you did. I came in the $1,250. To me, to own your own distribution company, in other words, be Mr. Starbucks, not a franchisee, for $1,250. And not only, are you getting the biggest bang for your buck? I mean, if you look at the bottom of that screen, folks, you can see what the full price is nearly $1,800. Is there any risk? What are people getting for that $1,250?
Again, literally what you're getting, which I love, is like everything you need for not only your physical health, but everything you need to run your business. In order to be successful at this business or any business, you have to believe in what you do. Like, the more belief you have, the more success you have. So literally, there's no risk, because everything, you're getting well over that, the cost in product alone, let alone the training material, right? And on top of that, the tickets to go to the big events to learn how to be successful and to be able to plug in from anywhere in the world. So I love how simple this business is, where you can be sitting at my office, you in your house, right? You and I both have had a day. You took your daughter to school recently, right? And here I am sitting, just finishing up patients. And you can team up with successful people and share this business and opportunity about groundbreaking science, products that are changing people's life every single day in huge industries that people are looking for answers, tried to brand new technology, and all it's going to cost you $12.50, and it's all product. There's like really zero risk.
Yeah, and folks, remember this: it's a one-time cost, one time, okay, of $12.50, and you own your own distribution company. Now, Dr. Brimhall, I know how you got paid as a chiropractor. Okay, I come in to see you, you adjust me, and I pay you. Now you're unemployed until your next appointment. Just like I got paid the same way in the gym business. If I trained you in the gym this morning, I am now unemployed until I train you again. I know this is something that you and I was really enamored by. You know, can you just help the audience understand the difference between linear income, you know, trading time for money, and then adjusting me one time and you getting paid month after month after month, leveraged income?
Yeah, it's just a huge difference. And I remember like that feeling, because when you are paid based on time and you run a business, your business is always with you when you go to bed. Like you're thinking when you're on vacation, like, okay, when's payroll going to happen? So literally, like all of us, we go to work for 2 weeks, we get a paycheck. Go to work for 2 weeks, get another paycheck. If we don't go to work, we don't get a paycheck, right? So we all are used to that model. But what if you could literally do the work once and get paid again and again and again? For instance, everybody that has a rent or a mortgage or a cell phone bill or a power bill, that's called a residual bill. You get it whether you want it or not. So in this industry, literally you can shorten a 30, 40-year career down to just a handful of years because you're building a distribution network to move these groundbreaking products through, impacting people's life, and you get paid based on people constantly staying on those products. So imagine if you literally owned a business where you had a bunch of cell phones, and every time somebody used that cell phone, you got paid. Well, here we're tied to multiple businesses, you know, healthcare, skincare, pet care, energy drinks, all tied to where people buy those products every month. And so every time they purchase those, you're paid. So as I talked to somebody 4 years ago that still be on the products, I'm still making a small percentage. But then again, if I help a team do the same thing, I help them become successful, then we're getting a small percentage of that. So imagine how that would be if you controlled your own destiny financially. Like there was no ceiling. The only limitation is what you placed on yourself. That's what this allowed us to do. And it doesn't matter if you're a doctor, attorney, a stay-at-home mom, a teacher, like one that just signed up on our team today, right? That now can set themselves up to where they can create that residual income so they can be paid again and again and again while they do their day job. So that's the difference between residual and leverage. Residual and leverage means you're getting paid on work you did at the beginning. Leverage is you help other people become successful. You also become more successful.
And folks, let me just kind of help you understand what he's saying is, you know, what did J. Paul Getty say? His favorite saying is he would much rather have been paid 1% of the efforts of 100 people instead of 100% of his own. So what I want you to understand, yes, we get paid on refills, right? But we are in the business of connecting people. We are in the business of building a network. And that's what Dr. Brimhall has done. He has been able to build a network to where now he's in the top 4% of the top income earners in this country. He is what's known as an elite Pro 7 in this business. Dr. Brimhall, can you kind of help everyone understand when you hit your rank, you just achieved, and by the way, congratulations. Can you help everybody understand, you know, wages, profits are more important than wages. Can you kind of help them to understand that profit pool that you just entered into?
Yeah, imagine guys, if you owned your own business and the more successful that business was, like you now shared in the profits. So there's a cost of the business or profit. Let's just say the company deserves 20% of profit and they could split that. Well, imagine having a $200 million company that started 9 years ago that you can start today, work hard, and hit those top ranks, and now you share in the profit sharing of that top 4%. So, and that's since the beginning. So that means everybody that's been working Life Vantage since 2009, like you have, Gabe, like I literally, when I hit that rank of Pro 7, now I share that 1% of people that are people who've already been working for, 7 years before I, really 6 years before I joined, right? How unique is that? But I think it also creates this culture where we work together in different teams, because you know that no matter whose team they're on, the company's going to share that wealth with all of us. And it's such
let me interrupt you real quick. Yeah. Folks, what he's saying, Dr. Brimhall is on one team and I'm on another team. Even though we're Life Vantage, but I have close to 100,000 people in my organization. And when Dr. Brimhall hit that Elite Pro 7 rank, he now gets paid on all of my people. All right, think about that.
Thank you, Gabe.
He gets paid on the entire company.
And that's such a unique thing that you can start today and get that same place too. And like that's awesome. Because literally that one bonus, like $1,300 extra a month.
That's crazy. I mean, and think about this. What I say earlier, folks, we're only in 17 markets. There's nowhere to go but grow. Imagine if we're in 50 markets. How much more of an increase in pay will Dr. Brimhall get, when we have 35, 40 more countries? It just grows. And what's fascinating, folks, he doesn't have to go to those countries and build a business there. He's automatically grandfathered in. And as he moves up the ranks, he gets 2%. He shares in 2% of worldwide revenues. And when he hits that 9th rank, he shares in 3% of worldwide revenues. And when he hits the 10th rank, he shares in 4%. So a lot of you that have owned your own business, you know what I'm talking about when I say profits are better than wages. Me, I owned 3 health clubs for 20 years. And because the brick and mortar, the economical, model doesn't work, I never received 1 cent of profits in those 20 years. Because I was like his business. My outgo is $50,000 to $55,000 a month, and I didn't make a penny until everything was paid off. This is 200, and you can offset it down to 40. Yeah. So it's a perfect business model. And I wanted to bring this to everyone's attention. What I saw when I was looking at this, I was sold on the ABC Primetime Investigative Report. So this is what I saw. Dr. Brimhall, if ABC News comes knocking on your door and says, listen, Doc, we've been hearing nothing but great things about your practice. We would like to do a positive spin on your business. Would it help you get a few more patients?
Oh, yeah. You wouldn't be able to hold them.
There's not a company in the world, folks, that wouldn't want that advertisement. That's what we have. I saw that. And then on top of having ABC News as our commercial, Dr. Brimhall, what if you're the only chiropractor in the world? Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing?
Very good as far as being busy.
Yeah, you might not be able to retract fast enough, but folks, that's what we have. Not one person can walk up to Dr. Brimhall or myself and say, listen, with all due respect, my resveratrol does what Protandim NRF2 does. We're the only all-natural NRF2 activator. So me, I saw that. And when the peer-reviewed studies were there, I checked the box off and I learned how to become a professional. This is Dr. Brimhall's first time in this industry. This is my first time, and we're having massive success. My proudest moment in this business is we just retired our 25th family member in the last 4 years. That's how big this is. So if you're looking for a side gig, like Dr. Brimhall was when he started and when I started, try to find a reason not to do this. Don't try to find a reason to do this, okay? My 7th grade chemistry teacher always told me this: if you want to be a great scientist, don't try to prove something, try to disprove it. And I've always used that in my business practices, and it's the best decision I've ever made in my life. So I know we're getting near the end. Dr. Brimhall, just, in 2 or 3 minutes, if someone's watching this, for the very first time, and there's some struggles, they've got some pains, they've got some needs, some wants, some desires, or more importantly, dreams like you and I had. What would you say in a 2 or 3 minute, close to help them to take this to the next step, to help them to look into this company a little bit more?
Well, I can promise you that if you don't do this, nothing's going to change.
Right.
Whether that's a physical pain or whether that's an emotional pain tied to where you're at. I just had this conversation with my brother's orthopedic surgeon. He's been watching me over the last 4 years do this, is taking time to do it, but yet he can't see him work or in this industry, even though he'd love to find ways to make residual income. So what I can promise you guys, the products are absolutely 100% real. The results I'm getting now are beyond what I was able to get before, and I felt like I got phenomenal results. I just have people travel from all over the world to come see me. But at the same time, this business model, if done right, can set you free, right? I don't know a person out there that wouldn't benefit, right, from having residual income, not only now, but when they really need it. All of us are gonna have times in our lives, like I did when my mom passed away, where I wish I could have taken a week or 2 off and just been there. Or when my son comes home from a mission in a year, where I'll now have the opportunity to take a couple weeks off and just be with him. What industries do we have, or jobs are we a part of, where we literally can then do those things that we want to do versus those things that we have to do? And this industry is allowing me to do that. And it's really because of the science and products are real. The business opportunity is perfect if you use it that way, if you're willing to work for it. So what I say is, try to disprove it, right? And literally, like, put it in your body. It drives me pretty crazy when I talk to somebody and I show them that PubMed has validated it. I show them a few stories with people's lives I'm seeing changes, and they still don't take it. Like, it puzzles me. But at the same time, I've yet met somebody, like this happened just this week as I'd having a conversation with somebody. I said, do you like your job? And he says, no, does anybody? And in the back of my head, I'm like, dude, I said, like, that's miserable. I said, I love what I do. Like, I've always loved what I've done as a physician, but like, I love what this has been able to allow me to do. So if you're not happy with where you are, right, that's only going to change if you do something different. And we're talking about a business model that can set you free if you do the work. And so, like, don't wait, take the product. Don't wait to get your questions answered in the business. It may not be for you. It may not be the right fit, but the model works.
Right, absolutely. I mean, I look at it like this, the business that I was in, the wellness business, I spent 34 years in the fitness business, and the word retirement was nowhere on the horizon.
Yep.
This retires me in 22 months. And on the 30th of this month will be 9 years ago. Now, if you look and see what Master Pro 10s make, folks, and I'm not trying to impress you here. I'm trying to impress upon you on something. Here's what I have gotten out of this business. It's the time and the freedom. And I was sharing this story just the other day. I had the luxury of taking my daughter to school when she was 13, 14, 15, up to 16 years old. The most important years, the hormonal years, right? And I was able to mentor that young lady, teaching her how 14, 15, and 16-year-old boys think, right? Instead of her finding out on her own. And because I spent those quality years with her, taking her to school, which if I didn't have this business, I was in the gym at that time, I wouldn't have the relationship I have with her today. And because of that mentorship, she's the most self-confident, grounded. I mean, she feels good in her skin. And I just had the luxury, and I was sharing this with Dr. Brimhall, and I'm gonna try not to tear up. She's my oldest. She just turned 18 years old, and I just dropped her off from for her first semester of college at Florida State University this past weekend. And I was sharing this with Dr. Brimhall before we got on. I go, you know what's fascinating is the money side of it. My wife and I didn't even have to think about it. It was like, done, done, done. And I was sharing this with him. I was like, you know, I want to be a part of her life. So we end up buying season tickets while we were there, you know, and it was not, didn't even think about it, you know. So folks, take a hard look at this. You want your time back. You want your freedom back. And start where Dr. Brimhall started, and start where I started as a side hustle. I got involved with this just to keep my kids in private school because I got hit hard financially. So I just want to thank each and every one of you for being on tonight. And more importantly, get with the person who invited you to this webinar and share with them where you stand. If you're like Dr. Brimhall and myself, you see what we see, get yourself a LifeVantage ID number tonight and hang on to our coattails. And as Dr. Brimhall mentioned, how cool is it to be in your own confines of your own home. You can call 3 to 5 of your friends that might live in different cities. They can be in the confines of their own home. They can plug into a webinar like this and listen to a physician talk about the enormity of this opportunity. And you didn't spend a dime, and it doesn't, there's no time. You don't have to show up, you know, and get a paycheck. You see what I'm saying? So really, really look hard at this, because I'm telling you, with the advent of the internet, this is the reason why this industry is the second largest in the world, only to oil and gas. So get with the person who invited you tonight and thank them, because you have the right list of ingredients. You are what we're looking for to just kind of get on that mountaintop and shout to everybody that you love and care for on how incredible a company this is. And at the very least, from a physiological standpoint, it's a product that you need to take, and everybody that you love and care for. So with that said, Dr. Brimhall, thank you so much for your time. I know how busy you are. Thank you so much for being a part of this company. And as I mentioned earlier, you add so much value. And we thank you for your expertise. And I'm looking forward to spending some more time with you and working together in different capacities.
I appreciate it, Gabe. Thanks for all you do. All you pour in that.
Thank you so much. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next Monday night, 9 p.m., same meeting ID number. Invite 3 to 5 of your friends, get them on this webinar, and we'll help you build your business. My name is Gabe Pearson. Thank you so much for being on tonight. We'll see you next Monday night. Good night, everybody.
Night.